going on, Jerome's? So your Minnesota Vikings snatched defeat from the jaws of victory against the Arizona Cardinals yesterday, losing 18-17 at historic US Bank Stadium, finishing out the Vikings 2023 preseason. And preseason, it's whatever. It's about getting shots at Kirk Cousins on the sidelines, either wearing his helmet or with the Fu Manchu. By the way, if Kirk Cousins keeps that mustache, the Vikings win the Super Bowl by default. So, Jules, bro, you got to let Kirk keep the stash. A bajillion percent. There you go, man. Also, preseason is about Ben Lieber on the sidelines doing interviews like, hey, you remember when you did that thing? That was awesome. Right. Also, I don't know why we got a shot in the dome from back in the day with Aaron Henderson, but sort of is what it is. But I know that it's weird. We Vikings fans were human, allegedly, most of us, and humans are fallible, and humans like complaining about things. And there is a segment of the Vikings population that is complaining about the Vikings losing playoff games, notably Kevin O'Connell being 0-6 in the preseason, like that actually matters. So the Vikings indeed have lost the third preseason game this year. They lost 3 preseason games last year. But remember, so the Vikings went 0-3 in preseason, but then they went 13-4 in the games that actually counted. Who knows? But and then playoffs, but we don't talk about playoffs. And also a minus 46 point differential. Just sticking the needle in. That's exactly what ESPN and NFL Network are running with this morning. But here's the thing: like, he's barely played the starters. Like, Christian Darrisaw had 8 snaps. Kirk hasn't played. Justin Jefferson hasn't played. Danielle hasn't played. Harrison Smith hasn't played. Blah 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 blah. And the last preseason win was actually on August 24th, 2019. So 1,464 days ago. Mike Zimmer and company led the Vikes to a 20-9 triumph over the Arizona Cardinals. And back when there was 4 preseason games, the third one was always the dress rehearsal. Now, it seems a little bit longer since there was no preseason in 2020, but it really doesn't matter. So here's the whole thing. Kevin O'Connell poo-poos on preseason games. Some coaches play their starters, a la Mike Tomlin. You can't spar. You can't box unless you spar, that whole thing. But I actually don't mind the way that Kevin O'Connell approaches preseason games, because basically he treats them as scrimmages, like second and third team parts of an extended scrimmage coming off a joint practice, which I'm perfectly fine with. So, Kevin O'Connell, why it doesn't matter. Number 1 is preseason. These games do not count. Number 2, Kevin O'Connell focuses on the starters, because that is the premium where, I mean, you look at Scary Terry McLaurin, the wide receiver 1 with the commies, like him in the preseason game. Yeah, congratulations. You busted the Ravens preseason streak, but I mean, you cost your wide receiver 1, and he may not be ready for week 1. And that's the whole thing too, where the name of the game is keep your starters healthy and get out of preseason and ready for the regular season. Number 3, with the emergence of joint practices, it seems like every single team in the league is having 1 and sometimes 2 joint practices. That is over preseason, because it's a controlled environment. You can work on exactly what you want to work on. Get with the other coaches. Hey, we want to work on this down and distance. Hey, we want to work on this specifically in 11-on-11s, and then you do that. Whereas in preseason, like, games are highly variant. Like, you don't know how many possessions you're going to get. You don't know where the ball is going to be. You don't know this, that, or the other thing, and that is much more important, working on scenario work with your first team versus just whatever in the preseason. Plus, it's variant in terms of, well, we'll get to that in a 6. But number 4, playing cards close to the vest. So you're thinking like, hey, if the team is down late in the actual game, that Kevin O'Connell would bust out something from the back of the playbook and all that stuff, and strategy certainly would change on offense, defense, and on teams. But you're not going to do that in preseason, especially with your backups. Just like, hey, we're going to show off the back end of our playbook, and we're going to show what we're going to do in these specific scenarios. So are you going to do that, or keep things as vanilla as possible so that future opposing play callers have nothing and 0 tape and 0 insight what your thinking is in a specific situation? That. Number 5, Kevin O'Connell's not play calling. where you saw, and they talked about it on the telecast, where Wes Phillips is getting a lot of experience. Keenan McCardle, Curtis Modkins are getting some time calling plays. So, I mean, it's not like it would be in a regular season game. And it's great that these guys are getting experience, and that is far more important than trying to win a preseason game, man. Same thing with Flores, as Durante Jones was calling some of the defensive calls late in the game, some of these preseason games. Number 6. So, 3s versus 2s. And now, Kevin O'Connell, not only does he not play the starters, but he generally pulls the 2s a lot sooner than other teams. So sometimes it's the Vikings 3s up against 2s. Sometimes it's the Vikings 2s against another team's 1s. And that's where it's highly variant, because not every single team is cut and dry. It's like, hey, this is how we're going to play our 1s, 2s, and 3s. So sometimes it's your 2s versus the other team's 1s. Well, Vikings don't play their 1s, but it's a Vikings 3s against the other team's 2s. So you don't really get a specific look at, some teams, they do value winning in preseason. It's like, well, we're going to start off on a high note, even though, the 08 Lions went 4-0 in preseason and then went 0-16. Dante did not deserve that. He did not get his roll on very often in 2008. And lastly, it's preseason. Just like, don't show anything, don't get anyone hurt, and all that stuff. And, Kevin O'Connell, I hope that he continues this trend where he doesn't play starters in preseason, exactly what Sean McVay did with the Rams over his tenure there, and then won the Super Bowl in 2021. Thanks to Kevin O'Connell, by the way. No big deal. So no, it does not matter at all. And I understand people just want to complain about things, but no. But your thoughts are thoughts. Kevin O'Connell's now 0-6 in the preseason, and who gives a shit? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.